let me tell you something real. The world will always pull at your attention, people, problems, noise. Everyone wants a piece of you, and if you're not careful, you'll spend your whole life pouring into everyone else, leaving nothing for yourself. But here's the truth. You can't give what you don't have. You can't show up strong, confident, and capable if you're constantly running on empty. Focusing on yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. It's how you build resilience, clarity, and power. When you value yourself, you stop chasing validation. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop letting people tell you what your worth is. You set the tone for how others treat you because you finally treat yourself with respect first. So today, I want you to draw a line in the sand. I want you to reclaim your energy, your focus, and your time, because this right here is where you decide you are no longer available for anything that costs you your peace, your power, or your purpose. It's time to stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. It's time to rise and remember who you are. Stop negotiating your worth. Set the standard for how others treat you. Too many people spend their lives waiting for others to see their value, to acknowledge their efforts, to give them permission to feel worthy. But that's the trap. The moment you hand someone else the power to define your worth, you've already surrendered it. Your value doesn't increase because someone finally notices you. It exists whether they see it or not. The real problem is that most people don't realize how often they trade pieces of themselves just to be liked, accepted, or validated. Every time you tolerate disrespect, stay silent when you should speak up, or settle for less than what you deserve, you're teaching others exactly how to treat you. Think about how often you shrink your voice in a meeting just to avoid being seen as difficult, or how many times you've agreed to something that went against your values because you didn't want to disappoint someone. These little moments add up. They erode your confidence, and before you know it, you're living a life built around other people's expectations. The truth is, people treat you according to what you allow. If you constantly bend, they'll keep pushing. If you always forgive without accountability, they'll stop taking you seriously. Boundaries are not walls, they're instructions for respect. When you set them clearly, you're not being cold or distant, you're defining your standards. And when people know where your line is, only the right ones will stay. It takes courage to decide that your self-worth is non-negotiable. It means you stop chasing after people who can't see your value. It means you stop trying to convince anyone to choose you, love you, or respect you. You can't force someone to recognize something they're unwilling to see, and you shouldn't waste your energy trying. The more you beg for validation, the less power you have. So, instead of trying to be liked, start being respected. Instead of trying to fit in, start standing out. People may not always agree with your boundaries, but they'll always understand them when you enforce them consistently. Setting the standard for how others treat you starts internally. You can't expect respect from others if you don't respect yourself first. It's about the way you talk to yourself when no one is listening, the choices you make when no one is watching, and the limits you set when everyone is demanding more of you. You teach people how to see you by how you see yourself. If you walk into every room like you're less than, people will treat you that way. But when you carry yourself with quiet confidence, when you move with certainty and self-respect, the energy shifts. You no longer need to beg for a seat at the table. You bring your own chair. There will be times when setting that standard will cost you relationships, opportunities, even comfort. But losing people who can't respect your worth is not a loss, it's alignment. You're not meant to keep everyone. You're meant to keep the right ones, and the right people won't question your boundaries. They'll honor them. They'll see your strength and rise to meet it. Your worth isn't determined by how much you give, but by how much you refuse to give away for free. When you stop negotiating your worth, you stop playing small, you stop living for approval and start living with purpose. Protect your focus like it's your life, because it is. In a world that thrives on distraction, focus has become a rare form of power. Everyone and everything around you is fighting for your attention, notifications, opinions, noise, and most people lose the battle before the day even starts. They wake up and immediately hand over their focus to the world. scrolling through their phones, reacting to other people's lives instead of living their own. But here's the truth: what you focus on grows. Whatever you give your attention to shapes your mind, your habits, and your future. If you waste your focus on things that don't matter, you'll live a life that doesn't either. Focus isn't just about productivity, it's about direction. It's about knowing where your energy belongs and refusing to let distractions steal it. Every time you allow someone or something to pull you off track, you lose momentum, you dilute your potential. You might think you're multitasking or staying busy, but busyness is not the same as progress. You can be moving all day and still go nowhere if your focus is scattered. Protecting your focus means understanding that your time and mental energy are your most valuable assets. Once they're spent, you can't get them back. Most people don't realize how easily they give away their focus. They allow toxic people, negative thoughts, and pointless arguments to drain their mental space. They let fear and comparison take over their minds until they can't see their own path clearly anymore. Protecting your focus means protecting your peace. It means you don't let every comment, every opinion, every little drama enter your mental space. It means you choose silence over noise, clarity over chaos. You don't need to respond to everything. Not every battle deserves your attention. Some things are meant to be ignored because your focus is too valuable to waste. When you begin to focus intentionally, everything changes. You start seeing results because your energy is finally aligned with your goals. You start feeling lighter because you're no longer burdened by distractions that don't serve you. You become more disciplined, more self-aware, more powerful. Focus creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. The more you stay focused, the more you trust yourself. You stop needing motivation because your focus becomes your discipline. You stop waiting for the perfect time because your focus keeps you moving forward even when it's hard. Protecting your focus also means being ruthless about what and who you allow into your life. Not everyone deserves access to your time or your energy. You have to recognize the difference between people who fuel your growth and those who feed off your energy. It's not about being harsh, it's about being intentional. When you protect your focus, you start seeing through the noise, the gossip, the negativity, the distractions that used to trap you. You realize that focus is freedom. The freedom to choose your direction, to build your future, to live with purpose. The truth is, your focus determines your fate. You can't control everything in life, but you can control where you place your attention. If you focus on problems, you'll find more problems. If you focus on possibilities, you'll find solutions. What you give energy to is what you create more of. That's why focus is sacred. It's not something you casually give away. It's something you guard fiercely because your dreams, your growth, your peace, they all depend on it. When you learn to protect your focus like it's your life, you begin to see that it actually is. Learn to say no without guilt. Boundaries build respect. Most people struggle with the word no because they've been conditioned to believe that saying no makes them selfish, rude, or unkind. From a young age, we're taught to please others, to be agreeable, to avoid conflict. But what no one tells you is that constantly saying yes when you mean no slowly destroys your peace, your confidence, and your self-respect. Every time you agree to something that doesn't align with your values or drains your energy, you're teaching yourself that other people's comfort matters more than your own. And the truth is, people will keep taking from you as long as you keep giving them permission to. Saying no isn't about rejection, it's about protection. It's about protecting your time, your focus, your energy, and your sanity. When you say no to things that don't serve you, you're actually saying yes to something greater, your growth, your health, your priorities. But because we fear disappointing others, we often sacrifice ourselves in the process. We say yes out of guilt or obligation, then end up feeling resentful and drained. That's not kindness, that's self-betrayal. And over time, it builds quiet bitterness that eats away at your confidence. The ability to say no with strength and calmness is one of the most powerful skills you can develop because it's how you reclaim your power. Boundaries are not barriers, they are expressions of self-respect. They tell the world how you expect to be treated. They define what's acceptable and what's not. The people who truly care about you won't be offended by your boundaries, they'll respect them. It's the ones who benefit from your lack of boundaries who will push back, but that resistance is actually clarity. It shows you who's in your life for your well-being and who's there only for what you can give them. When you say no, you filter out the noise, you create space for what truly matters. You free yourself from the constant pressure to please everyone and finally start living for yourself. It takes courage to stand firm when others expect you to bend. It takes strength to disappoint someone else in order to stay true to yourself. But every time you say no to something that doesn't align with your values, you strengthen your integrity. You build trust with yourself. You start realizing that your peace is priceless and protecting it isn't selfish, it's necessary. You cannot build a fulfilling life if you're constantly catering to everyone else's needs at the expense of your own. The people who are meant to be in your life will understand when you need space, when you need rest, when you choose yourself. Those are the relationships that grow with respect, not resentment. When you learn to say no without guilt, you stop apologizing for prioritizing your well-being. You start making decisions based on what's right for you instead of what looks right to others, and something amazing happens. Your confidence grows. You begin to move through life with calm authority, knowing that your time and energy are valuable. You no longer feel the need to over-explain or justify your boundaries. A simple no becomes enough. You realize that peace isn't found in pleasing everyone, it's found in honoring yourself. Saying no isn't closing doors, it's choosing the right ones to walk through. Because every no creates room for the yes that truly matters, the one that leads you closer to the life you're meant to live. Invest in yourself first. Growth starts from within, not approval. So many people are waiting for someone else to give them the green light before they start believing in their own potential. They wait for validation, for recognition, for some external sign that they're good enough to move forward. But that's not how real growth happens. Growth begins the moment you decide to stop looking outward for permission and start looking inward for power. The truth is, nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to hand you confidence, success, or fulfillment. Those things are built from the inside out through discipline, consistency, and self-belief. Investing in yourself means making choices that strengthen your mind, your body, and your spirit. It's about choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. It's waking up early to train your discipline instead of hitting snooze. It's reading, learning, and developing skills when others are wasting time complaining. It's spending time alone to understand yourself instead of surrounding yourself with people who distract you from your purpose. Every small act of self-investment adds up. The more you pour into yourself, the less you need from the world. You stop chasing validation because you become your own source of it. You stop comparing yourself because you're too focused on becoming your best self. People often think self-investment is selfish, but it's actually the foundation of everything you give to others. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't inspire, lead, or support anyone if you're running on empty. When you take care of yourself, when you build strength and stability from within, you show up in the world with more clarity and confidence. Investing in yourself is not just about education or finances. It's about emotional growth, mental resilience, and spiritual grounding. It's about learning how to manage your emotions, handle pressure, and make decisions that align with your values. It's about building a mindset that can weather any storm. There will always be people who don't understand your focus or your need for solitude. They'll call you distant or selfish for putting yourself first. But those who truly understand growth know that isolation is sometimes necessary. You can't evolve if you're constantly surrounded by noise and negativity. Growth requires space to think, to reflect, to realign. When you invest in yourself, you start filtering what and who deserves your time. You realize that your environment plays a huge role in your progress. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to grow, not those who keep you comfortable in mediocrity. Investing in yourself also means facing the parts of you that need healing. It means confronting your fears, your insecurities, and your limiting beliefs. Growth isn't just about adding new things. Sometimes it's about letting go of old habits, toxic relationships, and outdated versions of yourself. It's uncomfortable, it's messy, but it's worth it, because every layer you shed brings you closer to your true potential. The more you grow internally, the more your external world shifts to match that growth. Opportunities appear, doors open, and people start to see in you what you've been building quietly all along. The most powerful investment you'll ever make is in your own development. Not because it guarantees success overnight, but because it transforms who you are in the process. When you invest in yourself first, you stop waiting for others to give you what you can create yourself. You stop seeking shortcuts because you understand that mastery takes time. You start showing up with quiet confidence, knowing that your worth doesn't depend on anyone's approval. Growth starts within you, and once it begins, it becomes unstoppable. Walk with quiet confidence. Your value doesn't need validation. True confidence isn't loud, and it doesn't demand attention. It doesn't come from trying to prove yourself or forcing others to recognize your worth. Quiet confidence is built through self-awareness, discipline, and integrity. It's knowing exactly who you are, what you stand for, and what you bring to the table without needing to announce it to the world. The strongest people are often the calmest because they no longer need approval to feel powerful. They've done the work. They've faced the doubts, the failures, the insecurities, and built strength from within. That kind of confidence cannot be shaken because it's not dependent on external validation. Most people mistake confidence for arrogance, but the two couldn't be more different. Arrogance is insecurity disguised as strength. It's loud because it needs to be seen. Confidence is quiet because it already knows. When you walk with quiet confidence, you're no longer competing with anyone else. You're not in a race for recognition. You're not chasing status or applause. You're focused on becoming the best version of yourself, and that focus radiates through everything you do. People feel it in your presence, in your energy, in the way you carry yourself. You don't need to talk about your worth because your actions speak it for you. Walking with quiet confidence means trusting yourself, even when the path is uncertain. It means having the courage to move forward without knowing every answer, but believing that you'll figure it out along the way. It's about standing tall when no one is clapping and staying grounded when everyone is watching. Confidence isn't about pretending to be fearless, it's about acting despite fear. It's the ability to walk into any situation and know that you belong there, not because someone said so, but because you've earned it. You've done the work and you carry that certainty within you. When you stop seeking validation, you start living in alignment. You no longer twist yourself into someone else's version of worthy. You stop over-explaining, over-performing, or over-giving just to be accepted. Instead, you operate from self-respect. You make decisions that match your values. You speak up without aggression and stay silent without insecurity. You don't need to prove your power because it's already evident in your composure. That's what quiet confidence looks like: strength with grace, power with humility, and presence without noise. The most confident people don't need to control others or demand attention. They simply show up prepared, focused, and grounded. Their energy commands respect without saying a word. You can feel it when they enter a room, not because they dominate it, but because they move through it with purpose. They know their value, and that knowledge changes the atmosphere. You can't fake that kind of confidence. It's built through consistency, self-discipline, and the willingness to grow through discomfort. To walk with quiet confidence, you have to detach from the need for validation. You have to be okay with not being liked by everyone. You have to be willing to stand alone if it means staying true to yourself, because when you know your worth, you stop needing the world to confirm it. You start showing up differently. You stop chasing and start attracting. you realize that the most powerful statement you can make is not through words, but through presence. Your calm becomes your strength, your silence becomes your message, and your authenticity becomes your power. Quiet confidence doesn't shout. It simply exists unshakable, undeniable, and free.